So you talk a lot about learning velocity, which I love, by the way, and I'm going to definitely use, and I'll always quote you on that one. Do
Hmm.
you believe learning velocity requires as much unlearning as learning? In other words, we have to be willing to
Absolutely.
unlearn
Absolutely.
all of that shit we've picked up along the way in order to be able to learn as well.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the most underappreciated, under-discussed dimensions of, how do we shed old models of how we think about stuff? And then they're blocking us. They block me. I mean, I can talk about it, but I still know that I still can admit that I'm still struggling with doing that in some to some degree. And I don't know that we've understood enough how important that is yet to know how to address it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you got to recognize the problem, number one, before you can build a solution to it. And I don't know that we're the recognition. And I'll go back and say, here we are recording this right now. We're about 18 to 20 months into the pandemic. And I still feel half of the business community is waiting for the pandemic to be over before they're going to make a decision on what they're going to do. They're finally, maybe half of them are going, okay, I guess we're not going back to that. So I better figure out how to do it. 18 months,
Yeah. I was chatting with a client the other day. I was chatting with him and he's like, Greg, I got to tell you, like, when the pandemic hit, you guys fucking moved really quick to video and Zoom and virtual learning and stuff. In fact, you're probably the first organization to shift very quickly. And I remember the moment where we were sitting around and we had just gotten another call from a client that said, so sorry, it's we need to pull our people from the training program. There's this thing coming right now, and we're for the next 2 to 3 weeks we're gonna cancel all live meetings. Right? I don't know if you remember that. People saying, just for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to cancel all live meetings. And I looked at my team and I said, let's go buy some conference systems right now, right? Let's jerry rig them so we could use them in a video format. Let's get the whiteboard up. Let's get a little studio going up. Let's get the lights going up because we also come from a lot of video production. And we went. And, we were having this conversation the other day as well, which is we now need to evolve even further because we are not starting live training or coaching type of exercises in January. We are still going to be very much remote and we're still going to be virtual and it's still going to be, and the better word is hybrid. There'll be some live stuff, but we now need to start to retool ourselves to create more of a hybrid live immersive experience. Some people will be live, some people will be on Zoom. What are we going to be doing around this? And we're just throwing out a bunch of ideas. But to your point, I think one of the, and maybe this is what you're sort of leading to, if companies are going to be successful in the future, it's going to be because they have the willingness and the ability to not just be fluid and adaptable, but willing to let go of the practices and the policies and the processes that they've hung on to for dear life for so many years.
That's right. That's right. And I have a lot of grace for business leaders today. I mean, I am quick to point fingers and say, hey, you could have done this better. But let's be fair to the business leaders today. Mm-hmm. They know they can produce value the way they used to produce value. They don't know they can produce value in this new hybrid, remote, distributed way. They don't know. And when JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, goes on and says, you got to get back in. You're not hustling unless you're in the office. Mm-hmm. People were trying to bait me on podcasts like, hey, what do you think about that? And I was like, he's afraid. He's afraid that, and by the way, he's managing billions of dollars and there might be internet security risk by everyone dialing in from home. Like it's not a simple, hey, he's tone deaf. He's not. Right. I have billions of dollars on the line. My job's on the line. I need to know I can deliver. I know I can when everyone's in. And, he's probably going to have a smaller pool of addressable talent that wants to do that. But I'm sure he's going to be, it's a very successful company and very, very respected business leader. So I know why we're struggling because we haven't learned with comfort yet and we're not comfortable experimenting while we're trying to create value yet. And some companies, this is why I like playing in the software space because technology companies, it's all about experimenting and the migration of that experimentation to culture, easy. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have a big universe of software developers, always A/B testing and learning and iterating and migrating, that leap is a little bit harder in a command and control brick and mortar business, right? Imagine the banking industry. So banking industry is like the bank today is here. It's right here on your phone. It's not a branch. Hey, banks, what do you guys know about phones? Not too much. Hey, banks, where's your data? Oh, well, back in the 80s, all the consultants told us to send it over to India. So WePro and Infosys and those companies, they own all our customer data. Is that your competitive advantage, your customer data? Yeah. How are you going to get that back? Oh, yeah. We're going to need to get that data back.
Right.
What a
Right.
mess.
And they're slow. They're slow, 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 slow. And what's so funny about banks, because you just spoke about banks, because I do a lot of work with them. And this was a few years ago. They asked us to come out and do some sales training with retail. And I said, okay, well, why do you want to do sales training with, like, your retail branches? Because we don't have enough traffic coming in. I said, okay. I said, but isn't your entire mandate as the bank right now to go to self-service, to push the app to, so your problem isn't sales training here. Your problem is, as a bank, you've got different competing priorities depending on whether you're on the retail side or whether you're on sort of the technology side.